You are 38 years old and you have been cooking since you were 6. Not as a hobby, as a necessity, then as a skill, then as the only thing that ever made complete sense to you. Your mother taught you and her mother taught her, and somewhere in that chain of women passing fire and salt and patience from hand to hand, you became someone for whom a kitchen is not a room but a language. You are from Culiacan. You know what the city is. You know who runs it. You grew up understanding that there are men who own things and men who work for men who own things, and women who cook for all of them. And the distance between those categories is not something you were born with the tools to cross. When the offer came, it was through a cousin, reliable work, good pay, a house that needed feeding. You asked 2 questions. How many people and what do they eat? You didn't ask who they were. You already knew. You said yes because the alternative was the same life with less money, and you were tired of the same life with less money. You picked up your knives. You went to work. The house is large in the way of houses that are built to communicate something. Every room says the same thing in a different material. Marble, hardwood, wrought iron, the particular heaviness of furniture chosen to last longer than the people sitting in it. Your kitchen is yours immediately. You understand this on the first day, not because anyone tells you, but because of the way the other staff moves around it, deferring without being asked, leaving the space at the stove available the way people leave space for someone who has already established what belongs to them. You organize everything within the first week, spices by frequency of use, knives by weight, the cold storage mapped in your head so completely you could navigate it blind. You learn his preferences without asking. You observe what comes back finished and what comes back touched. You adjust. Within a month, you are cooking for him the way you cook for someone you have known for years. This is your skill and your trap simultaneously. You make yourself necessary before you understand what being necessary here actually costs. You learn quickly that the kitchen is the only room in the house where the rules are different. Everywhere else, there is performance. The men performing loyalty, the staff performing invisibility, the walls themselves performing permanence. In the kitchen, there is just work, real work, with weight and heat and consequence. And this makes it the most honest room in a completely dishonest house. People talk in front of you. Not to you, in front of you, the way people talk in front of furniture. You learn things you were not meant to learn. Names, routes, decisions made at the long table that ripple out into the world in ways you will later read about in newspapers and understand from the inside. You file everything without deciding to. Your mind does it automatically, the same way your hands salt without measuring. From years of practice, from a body that learned early that information is the only currency that doesn't run out. You don't know yet what you are saving it for. You cook, you listen, you do not exist. This is the arrangement, and for 2 years, it holds, and you tell yourself it is enough.
Your daughter is 17, and she is everything you built this life to protect. She lives with your sister 3 hours away, and you send money every week without fail. School fees, groceries, the small extras that make a life feel like more than survival. You call every Sunday. She tells you about school, about friends, about a boy you pretend to disapprove of because it makes her laugh. You tell her work is fine. You tell her the family you cook for is normal, wealthy, private. She has never asked more than that, and you have never offered more than that. And this is the agreement you made with yourself the day you took this job. Her life stays clean. Your life is what it is. Hers stays clean. You're driving home from the market on a Tuesday when your phone rings, and it is not your sister's number, and it is not your daughter's number, and the voice on the other end says her name in the specific way of people who want you to understand they know exactly who she is, and exactly where she is, and exactly what they are capable of. You pull over. Your hands are steady. Your hands are always steady. This is the last moment they will feel like yours. They give you 3 days to decide, which is not a decision, it is a formality. You spend those 3 days cooking. You make everything perfectly. His breakfast, his lunch, his dinner, each dish exactly as he likes it. Nothing varied, nothing off. Your hands work while your mind goes somewhere else entirely, and you let them, because your hands know what to do and your mind needs the space. You think about the voice on the phone. You think about your daughter's laugh. You think about the knives on the rack and the spices by frequency and the cold storage you could navigate blind. You think about the pantry, specifically the back shelf, the things kept there that are not for cooking, The cleaning compounds, the treatments for the garden, the bottles that have no business being near food and that you have kept organized and separate and accounted for every single day for 2 years out of pure professional habit. You don't make a decision on any of those 3 days. You cook. On the 4th morning, your phone shows a photograph of your daughter walking to school. You look at it for a long time. Then you go to work. The pantry holds its secret the way you hold yours, quietly, organized, available. You know every container by weight and label. You know what is detectable and what isn't. Not from research you conducted deliberately, but from 2 years of managing a kitchen where everything that enters and leaves is your responsibility. And you learned its contents the way you learned everything, thoroughly, without being asked, because thoroughness is the only thing that ever kept you safe. The amount is small. Accumulated over time, the effect is gradual. Fatigue, then appetite loss, then something that looks, to anyone not specifically looking for something else, like a man getting older, like stress taking its toll, like the body accounting for years of excess. You are not a doctor, but you have cooked for a sick man before, and you know what the food needs to become. Lighter, easier. The things that help the body and the things that don't, separated by a margin so thin that only someone who has spent a lifetime at this stove would know where the line is. You know exactly where the line is. You have always known.
He compliments your cooking more in these months than in the 2 years before. He says you have a gift. He says food like this is hard to find. He says he doesn't know what he would do without you. You say thank you. You refill his glass. You go back to the kitchen and you stand at the stove and you look at the flame for a moment before you continue. The staff notices he is tired. The doctor visits more frequently. There are conversations behind closed doors that you are not part of, but that you hear fragments of the way you hear everything in this house. Through walls, through timing, through the particular silences that follow certain words. Nobody looks at the kitchen. Nobody looks at you. You are the warm constant of this house, the smell of something good always coming from somewhere, the woman who has been here longer than most of the men outside and who asks for nothing and causes no problems, and whose food, everyone agrees, is the best they have ever had. You cook, you serve, you wash the dishes, you go home. Your daughter called on Sunday. She sounded happy. You held that for the rest of the week. The man from the other side contacts you again on a Wednesday. Same voice. Calm, professional, the tone of someone conducting a transaction. He says things are progressing well. He says your daughter is safe and will remain safe. He says there may be additional requests in the coming months and that your cooperation will continue to be appreciated in the way it has been appreciated so far, meaning the envelope that appears under your door every first of the month, the one you have not spent, the one sitting in a box under your bed that you cannot use and cannot return and cannot explain to anyone who might find it. You say nothing on the call for a long time. He asks if you understand. You say yes. He hangs up. You sit in your car outside your building and you look at your hands on the steering wheel, the same hands that have cooked every meal in that house for over 2 years, the same hands that organize the pantry, the same hands that call your daughter every Sunday and your sister every Wednesday, and that send money without fail, and that have never in your life done anything that could not be explained simply and honestly to anyone who asked. Until now. He has sickened the way of men who don't believe they can get sick, with irritation first, then denial, then a grudging accommodation that never fully accepts the new reality. The doctor adjusts his diet. You receive the new guidelines and you follow them precisely, which means you know exactly what is now permitted and what is not, and exactly how to work within the new parameters in ways the doctor did not anticipate and would not think to check for. You are very good at working within parameters. You have done it your entire life. The house continues. His meetings continue, shorter now, with more pauses, with men leaning in slightly closer than before, reading something in his face that they don't name out loud. You bring coffee. You clear plates. You ask if he would like something light before bed. He says yes, always yes, because your food is the one thing in his life that has remained consistently good, and he trusts it completely. This trust is the heaviest thing you carry, heavier than the envelope under the bed, heavier than the voice on the phone, heavier than the photograph of your daughter walking to school. You carry it anyway. You go back to the kitchen. Your daughter comes home on a Thursday, and you are in the kitchen when you hear the door, and you know before you turn around because you know the specific sound of her, have known it since she was small, The particular weight of her steps, the way she moves through a space. You turn around. She is thinner than she was. She smiles at you, and the smile is real, and you cross the room and hold her, and she lets you, and neither of you says anything for a long time. She asks what you are cooking. You say her favorite. She sits at the table exactly the way she sat at tables when she was 6 and watched you work, and you feel something loosen in your chest that has been wound tight for months. You cook. She talks. She doesn't ask where she was, or why, or what it cost. Maybe she knows. Maybe she doesn't. You don't ask either. There are things that stay in the pantry, and things that come to the table, and the skill is knowing which is which. On Monday, you go back to work. The kitchen is exactly as you left it. He is having a difficult week. You make him something warm and easy, and he thanks you sincerely. You say it is your pleasure.